Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. A Hot Springs woman on parole for murder was arrested for allegedly driving drunk in Ravalli County earlier this week. 48-year-old Lucy Marie Redcrow was on parole for the murder of 22-year-old Marie Ritchie back in August of 1987. Redcrow was convicted of stabbing Ritchie 30 times at a Missoula hotel.
In 1988, Missoula District Judge Doug Harkin sentenced Redcrow to 50 years in prison for murder and 10 years for use of a weapon. She had to serve at least half that time before she was eligible for parole. She was released in May of 2014 and was living in Hamilton.
Redcrow was arrested Sunday night on a charge of driving under the influence in Hamilton. She remains in the Ravalli County Detention Center with no bond. The identity of a Seeley Lake man killed in an accident south of town yesterday has finally been released. Missoula County Sheriff Deputy Coroner Mike Dominic says 92-year-old Paul Gall died when his car was hit by a dump truck. A Montana Highway Patrol dispatcher says Gall pulled his Subaru Legacy onto Highway 93 and was hit on the driver's side by an oncoming commercial dump truck. The driver of the dump truck was not hurt. MHP says he was not wearing a seatbelt.
A 58-year-old man is dead after a shooting in East Missoula that happened this afternoon. It happened around 1:30 at a small home at the intersection of Staple Street and Highway 200 in East Missoula. Paramedics performed CPR on one of the victims at the scene, but he later died from his injuries. Another man also went to the hospital but has since been released. Officers have not made an arrest in the case, but they do have a search warrant and they're processing the crime scene. One neighbor told us he heard gunfire and was shocked by the violence.
A Canadian man is in the Lake County Jail tonight on $1 million bond after the Highway Patrol recovered some 40 kilos of cocaine from his pickup truck. It happened during a traffic stop last night near St. Ignatius. 22-year-old Miguel Douglas Miranda of Calgary is facing drug possession charges. Lake County Deputy Attorney James Lapoca says a canine unit detected drugs in the 2006 GMC Sierra. The officer got a search warrant and found the drugs hidden in a side panel of the vehicle. The drugs have a street value of more than $1 million. Glacier National Park is hosting a community meeting tonight looking for input on how to improve the crown of the continent. Glacier National Park Superintendent Jeff Mao and other members of the park's leadership team will have presentations followed by a question and answer session. Some topics on the table include the ongoing rehabilitation of the Going to the Sun Road, spring plowing operations and snow removal, entrance fee increases, and a lot more.
A group of Idaho developers are looking into adding a new pair of eating options on Missoula's North Reserve Street.
White Leisure Development Company says their intent is to construct a 5,000 square foot restaurant and tavern with an attached 2,000 square foot casino called Native Grill and Wings. The developers pitched their proposal today before the Land Use and Planning Committee. They say it's similar to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Now, it would be north of Sean Kelly's Stone of Accord restaurant on the west side of Reserve. The proposal now goes before the City Council on Monday, June 8th. The company is also requesting to build a Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers restaurant. The casual restaurant would be built south of Sean Kelly's. According to the Freddy's Frozen Custard website, it would be the first franchise of its kind in Montana. It specializes in beefsteak, hot dogs, kids' meals, and of course custard. The permit was filed in late May. It has not yet gone before the City Council for approval.
SmartLam of Columbia Falls lays off 25% of its workers, saying it was impacted by the historic slowdown in the oil and gas industry. SmartLam produces cross-laminated timber, which can be used to build buildings, construction, and flooring. Co-owner Casey Malmquist says the company had to lay off 9 workers a week ago. Malmquist says he and his team are working to diversify its products and services so they don't have to depend on a single industry to keep the company healthy. Malmquist says no severance package was given, but all laid off employees went home with 2 weeks of additional pay. Volunteers and donations are still needed for the Missoula Public High School all-night graduation party. This event is for all Missoula County Public High Schools and be held Saturday from 8:30 until 3 a.m. at the Hub. The first all-night party was held 31 years ago in response to the amount of underage drinking after graduation, which led to injuries and even a few deaths. Organizers call it a safe alternative to alcohol-related parties, and they're doing their best to make it a success for students. They say they have already received great support from the community, but can always use more donations. And of course, Jill, they can also use some volunteers. For more information on how you can donate or volunteer, you can visit our website, kpax.com.
And this is a great story. Bono was in Montana for the first time last month, and a lucky bed and breakfast owner in Summers got a surprise visit from the U2 frontman himself. Outlook Inn bed and breakfast owner Michelle Ahern says it all happened in mid-April. One of her customers said her boss was in town and wanted a place to relax for a bit. After Ahern said that would be fine, that customer said her boss just happened to be the Bono. And she was very, very excited about it. Can you imagine?
No, of all the people to walk into your place of business, one of the most visible rock and roll stars in the entire world, you had to be doing double takes.
Well, her picture was great, big smile on her face. I'm sure I would have just stumbled and bumbled and made a fool out of myself. She did great though, and then was later able to post those pictures on Facebook.
Did fantastic. Stay tuned. We'll be checking the weather forecast. I think Bono's actually going to like the details on that. We'll have that coming up next here on KPAX.
That stupid bear thing, it just made me laugh, and I can edit that out. Oh my God.
I heard her start going, and I thought, oh, this is the bear story I remember her talking about.
Oh my gosh.
I think we can get around it, can't we?
Oh, I can edit it out. It's fine.
Yeah. So we're good.
He'll
That
put it in
worked.
the meeting notes,
If that didn't